Registrar, Madam Nafisa, fellows, academicians, and deans. Fellow applause. Can you give me applause? Thank you so much. Okay. My fellow industry partners. So I would like to actually introduce them. All of them, 12 of them, and number of booths is 10. They're coming from various of places, from KL, from Penang, from Shah Alam. So please welcome them in this career event. So a total number of 10 booths have been set up. And then, first of all, I would like to thank our sponsor, Nama Foundation, which is Dr. Saleh, Mr. Ghani, and Mr. Shahid. We have discussed this event for a very long time, since March before convocation, and it has been delayed because of the pandemic. And now we have gone through the endemic stage. Hopefully, this event will be successful. Okay, the second industry partner. Can I have Maybank? Maybank, where are you? Woo! Okay, for Maybank, up there, the booth number 1, Miss Priscilla from Maybank Alostar, and also Miss Rosita from Maybank Mergong, Mr. Shami from HQ Maybank, Akmal from Regional Maybank. They are here today to give some screening interview and tomorrow for the shortlisted interview for our candidate. So please welcome them. From Pakeso Kedah, we have Mr. Alif Faris and his teammate. Can I say hi? Okay, thank you very much. So they will come tomorrow also for the Pakeso talk. From Altel Holdings Berhad. Where is Altel? Can you say oh to me? Okay, thank you very much. So Altel, we do internship program and also some open vacation in human resource management. And then from Jinjing Technology Malaysia Berhad, from Kulin iPad, Miss Abby, Miss Grace, and Ruben. Can I say A? All right, thank you very much. And then from DRB Highcom, Miss Karya, are you there? The only person in charge. Okay, thank you very much. And then we have Motorcycle Engine National Berhad. We have Miss Chintana. Ooh, okay. Thank you for coming, even though you have a short accident before the event. Thank you very much. And then Proton Berhad. Can I see team from Proton Berhad? Can I say oh? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And Post Aviation, we have Miss Hida Ismail and Mr. Muhammad Johari Ibrahim. Can I say hi? All right. Thank you very much. And lastly, from Post Logistic, Muhammad Tajri and Miss Nurul Hamimi. Can I say hi? And our last is Abu Qori International University. Where is Puan Masliza and the team? Can I say hey? All right. And lastly, our international recruiter person Kelly. Where is Mr. Kamaro? Can I say ah? Okay. Thank you very much for coming. So I would like to thank you everyone for coming for this event, to make this event a very successful event. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank to all the fellow crews and also media crews for giving us this event. Special thanks to SA teams, Dato' Zu, Mr. Hisham, Muaz, and my two right-hand men, which is Miss Farah and Miss Hafiza, for being there for the rest of 5 months arranging for this event. So thank you very much. A big applause for them. Okay, with that, I end my introduction. I give to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Hafiza. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the next agenda for today. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome on stage the CEO of Nama Foundation, Dr. Saleh Bazid, for the welcoming remark. Please welcome on stage.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته, and good morning to all of you. Dear brother, Emeritus Professor Datu Dr. Abdul Aziz, VC AIU, Professor Dr. Abdi, Deputy VC Research and Innovation, Datu Siti Zubaida, Deputy Director of Student Affairs, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, we are very pleased to be with AIU again today to celebrate this outstanding event, which is preparations for students to go to the market and to the real life. But let me start with giving you a brief background about NAMA Foundation. First of all, to my dear Malaysian friends, NAMA Foundation is not like what we call it in Malay name. So NAMA is a word derived from the Arabic language, which is growth. The meaning of NAMA is growth. So NAMA Foundation has been working for Malaysia for the last almost 15, 16 years, based in Malaysia and KL, but with a global reach. So we are based in Malaysia, but we work globally in few countries. My dear brother VC have helped me already with explaining a little bit about NAMA Foundation. We work in Tanzania, Indonesia, Kyrgyzstan, plus ad hoc programs here and there, especially in Malaysia, Kenya, India, Turkey, with local societies as well as refugees here and there. And in Malaysia specifically, we do have few activities, especially addressing the issues of the Orang Asli, the B40, and the Rohingya refugees in this country. And also we do have few initiatives that we collaborate with universities, and among them, of course, AIU, and that's why we are here today. And Alhamdulillah, we are very pleased and we are very grateful and thankful to AIU for welcoming NAMA Foundation to collaborate with. And in fact, there are some similarities between NAMA Foundation and AIU. So I can claim there's like a good level of synergy between the two organizations. I believe because maybe of our backgrounds, because both of us are non-profits organizations, and both of us are focusing mainly on education, because NAMA works only in two areas. One is education empowerment, and second, it's socio-economic empowerment, as we call it, or what we call it, third sector empowerment. In education empowerment, we stress more on students' empowerment. And I believe this is the core business of AIU, because we do have a strong belief in the empowerment of the students, as we believe that today readers who are students are tomorrow leaders. And I believe students are what I always call them half of today, but they are full of tomorrow. So we like it or not, the students who are on the chairs of classes today are going to be in a few years the change makers in the society tomorrow, either in the public sector or the private sector or even in the social sector. So it's all about how we prepare them, how we groom them, how we train them. So if we prepare them well in terms of education, and we groom them well in terms of values, ethics, moral values, and if we train them well in terms of skills and equipping them with skills, they of course going to be an added value for the society tomorrow, and they can bring a positive and good change to their communities. I believe today's world in a misery situation, not because we lack talents or we lack knowledgeable people, but unfortunately those who are empowered, those who have the the authority to make change, are not all of them are good people. They are very smart, they are very educated, but not all of them are, let's say, having the values and having the sense of responsibility to help their people. That's why we see most of the countries are in a miserable situation, because those who have the power and authority to make change are not making it. So we believe with the empowerment of AIU students who are coming from many countries, as the VC just mentioned, almost 60 countries with almost 800, 900 students, I believe, and numbers are increasing year by year. I believe this number who are coming out of AIU is a sufficient number to make a global movement. Really, those who are studying here for 3-4 years, well connected to each other, well educated, well prepared and groomed, well in terms of values and skills. So I believe they can really make a very strong global movement tomorrow, so they can bring AIU name to their countries and bring the knowledge and skills and values which they have got and obtained from this university to their countries, and they can apply them. As of today, the main issue now we have that students and people, individuals, let them coming from schools, industry, or universities whatsoever, they study and they prepare themselves to satisfy their own needs only. They don't think about others. So unfortunately, we do have a sense of selfish kind of thinking. That's why students just study for them just to find a job, build a house, get married, have children, and that's all. And that's why we are continuing having the disparity between rich and poor, between those who have access to education and those who are denied education. And I'm very, very glad that to hear that AIU have started already preparing their students for the real life after graduations. A lot of students just they think about after university, about job employment only after they graduate. But I believe one of the unique things in AIU that they are involving their students from day one in the university in the social life, how they try to engage with the community, how they try to assess and explore the social issues, and how they can provide solutions to those social issues. So when they graduate from the university and go back to the society tomorrow, they are already aware and well-versed of what are the social issues, either in Malaysia or in their own countries, so they will not feel shocked, with the real life tomorrow. So they are well prepared in terms of education, in terms of values, in terms of skills, so they can easily transfer what they have learned, easily address the issues in the society using the skills that they have obtained from AIU, and make a real social change with the support of the values and or morals and ethics that they have got from AIU. And I believe AIU have put in place already a very good system to instill all these good things in the students in terms of education, in terms of values, through the 5 A's, Aqeedah, Amana, Amalan, and also the skills by training the students to go to the field to find out and explore the social issues and find solutions for them. So I believe AIU students are lucky, among the few who are lucky that you have been brought here and provided with the full support from AIU. MashaAllah, 5-star campus in terms of education facilities, accommodation whatsoever, and all are for free. I believe there are many outside there who deserve to be in AIU, but they were not lucky enough to join the campus. So I believe in order for you to be grateful to this blessing is by really studying hard and obtaining the right and good knowledge, skills, values from this university, and go back and pay to your society. I believe AIU and the Bukhari Foundation is not expecting any financial return from you guys, but they are expecting social return, but not to AIU, not to Al-Bukhari, to your own communities, to your own societies. I believe the major issues we have today worldwide are made of small issues. Of course, we cannot address the major issues at once, But with our personal capacity, university capacity, individual capacity, NGO capacity, we can address the small issues in my family, in my city, in my village, in my district, in my kampong. But solving out small issues will lead directly to solving out the major issues, either at state level or national level or regional level or even international level. And that's why all the change makers that we see or we have read about in our history or what we see today, those actually individuals who have received good knowledge, and at the same time those who had, let's say, a sort of social responsibility, sense of social responsibility. So they don't live only for themselves, but they live for others. And I believe the kind of students that AIU has today can produce a similar public figures who can make actually a social change tomorrow, like what happened in our history. So not necessarily for you to be a rich, or not necessarily for you to be a businessman, not necessarily for you to be, let's say, a professor or, let's say, a politician in order for you to make a change. Just you need to be a kind individual, a good human being that who have good education and have the self and of social responsibility, self sense of social responsibility to help others. I am not expecting you to be like Nama Foundation or AIU, that you go out there, and establish a university or an NGO and, fund a lot of programs. Just do even little thing within your capacity, and that's already, a good enough for you. And I believe the social lab club that the VC just mentioned is a very golden opportunity for AIU students to make use of it. Because I believe the real thing for you to, it is a lot of things, a lot of people think, okay, now it is just a time for education. After I graduate, I will think about my future, I will think about, society. No. Tomorrow, you will not even find, a time for you to read, a time for you to groom yourself. I believe the university time here, the 3-4 years which you spend at AIU, is like a sort of golden time whereby you need to prepare yourself for tomorrow. You need to prepare yourself for tomorrow. And alhamdulillah, today also we have the industries here, so they can collaborate. And from now you can explore how, what are the requirements out tomorrow. I mean, in terms of the industry, what are the priorities in terms of job seekers, job creators, so you can prepare yourself and train yourself to fit those requirements. Nowadays, universities, industries, institutions are not only looking for academic certificate, right? They are looking for experts, looking for skills, looking for other things, right? So to have a bachelor in BBA or marketing from AIU, it might not sufficient enough if you are not equipped with other skills, communication skills, leadership skills, how to talk, how to lead, how to interact with others. And more importantly, people also look at integrity, at commitment, at transparency. And these are the things, that all of us have to take care of. I wish you all the best. I'm looking forward, inshallah, to more collaborate with AIU and more programs, not only Nama Dialogue or the career day that with AIU, but also to more programs on something that's, inshallah, is maybe more long-term for students. We are ready in Nama Foundation to cooperate with AIU to introduce new programs that can instill the values, the ethics among the students, and really build in the good character in the students, the good attitude that you live for yourself and for others, inshallah. I wish you all the best. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Dr. Saleh, can you please remain on stage? First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for your insight. Now I will welcome on stage our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Professor Dr. Yusnida, accompanied by the Registrar, Madam Nurpiza, for the appreciation session. Please welcome on stage.
Nanti kita masa kat naik ke atas kita buka mask kan, I guess.
Saya tak tahu lah. Dia tak pakai mask pun. Tunggu tadi.
Thank you so much to all our honorable guests. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the main agenda for today. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the expert speakers for today's event. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. M.D. Ghani Ibrahim, Head Partnership and PR Department, Nama Foundation. Dr. Siti Nurjanna Abdi Halim, Lecturer of School of Business and Social Sciences, AIU. Mr. Daniel Go, Counseling Manager, Pasokli Working Force Malaysia, Sendirian Perhad. Please all welcome on stage. Audience, please actively participate during the dialogue, for the organizers have special gifts for you and prizes. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Thank you, Miss MC. Let me start with welcoming all, and thank you for attending our career and entrepreneur fair. First and I think the first one for this year. Yeah, okay. And then with me today, we have two special panelists. From on my left, Dr. Siti Nurjanna binti Abdul Halim. She's from Penang. Neighbor to our panelists on the right, later on. Okay. She is actually AIU Internship Coordinator. She holds PhD in Philosophy in Organizational Behavior from University of Science Malaysia, Penang. She holds Masters in they say boleh dengar? Boleh dengar? Testing. Boleh dengar? Testing.
Hello, test.
Testing.
Test.
Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear us? Give us a thumbs
Test.
up. Awesome.
Test.
Can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me? Okay, great. In Malay, they said, if this thing happen when we are having function, somebody tak mandi pagi. In Malay, they say, if things are not going well what you plan, somebody has taken morning shower. So, most probably one of us. Okay, anyway, Dr. Siti actually a bachelor in human resource development from University Putra, Malaysia. She has been working as a lecturer more than 5 years now. And she's been speaking in radio stations also, Cool FM, a few topics. And on my right, Mr. Daniel, he's the consulting partner, Persol Kelly, for Solution Malaysia Sdn Bhd from Penang branch. And award-winning people leader, wow, recognized by industry peers in delivering bespoke experiences to clients. Joy in what he does, believing in. Okay. Surely somebody have not taken shower. Okay. When he's not working, he recharges himself with his family at home, living an adventure and creating memories with them. He creates content on LinkedIn occasionally. Some people say, well, you got nothing to do. Okay, on Monday night, he co-hosts a live podcast, sometime on Wednesday night too, when he's part. Okay, he's a funny guy actually. His wife says he talks too much. I believe so. That's maybe why. And if there's any more free time, he plays games, ducking out with friends and getting served mostly. Okay, and then before I go on, Daniel, I have one question for you first before we go to the other side. But before you answer my question, let's introduce yourself first. And then I'm going to pose you one first question. Can you hear or not? Can you hear Daniel or not? No.
All right, we're going to use this for now, right? Testing. Can you still hear us? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Now it's soft over there. Let's just use this. We've got a solution, plan B. Right, good morning, everybody. Hey, how's it going? I'm Daniel, and I'm from Persol Kelly Workforce Solutions, formerly known as Kelly Services in Malaysia, yeah. And I'm the branch head of Penang, overlooking Penang, obviously, as well as the northern region, covering Perlis, Kedah, and Perak. I brought my team here with me as well, so I understand that we have some of our friends who are graduating students or even graduates as well, who you may be interested to speak with my team members if you're interested to know more about the prospects of getting into the marketplace, how the things are in the industry. So my team, we've got Jiwing, we've got Tiba, we've got Sharon, we've got Zikri. They're all on the right-hand side. Those are raising their hands. Feel free to approach them as well too. So anyway, back to you.
Thank you, Daniel. And then Dr. Jana, your bit of a background.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Hello, testing. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. All right, so now, is it clear? Okay, so thank you, Mr. Ghani and Mr. Daniel. So I'm Dr. Siti Norjana binti Abdul Halim, lecturer from School of Business and Social Sciences. Okay, I used to teach human resource and organizational behavior. Okay, so that's my expertise in organization behavior and human resource. Okay, maybe I pass back to Mr. Ghani first.
Okay. First question, maybe both of you can answer this. How is the job market situation of a post-pandemic, especially to cater for new fresh graduates? Maybe Daniel want to start first?
Yeah, sure. All right. Post-pandemic, you can't hear me. Okay, so the question is, how's the job market looking like, the industry right after our pandemic? Hang on, I'm just going to take this off because it's interfering with the mic. The market has obviously reopened. Yeah. There's plenty of opportunities out there, and there are more and more growing opportunities. It all depends on what we're looking for or what you are all looking for. And it has obviously expanded, and that's why we're here. That's part and parcel why we're here this morning, to introduce the outlook of how things are looking like. So do not be dismayed thinking that, oh, we are right now in the endemic, thinking that the industry is so much more different compared to how it was previously. It will always grow back, and we are at that stage right now. And for those of you who are graduating as well, fret not. The prospect is looking encouraging as well. So that's my personal take and how the industry is looking right now.
From the academic perspective?
Okay, so from the academic perspective, as we know that here also we have our own programs. We used to have a three school here. We have a School of Business and Social Sciences, School for Education, and as well as School Computer Information. Okay, so basically here we are preparing the students to the marketplace by referring to their programs. Okay, we have a Bachelor of Business Administration in Marketing, BBA in HRM, as well as a Bachelor in Economic, Social Development, and as well as in Finance. Okay, so here, as we know that we are giving them the knowledge and theories is all for them, the whole program. So basically, it is not only for IQ, we are preparing as well for the EQ, emotional intelligence, because we know that when the student, it is either they are going for the internship or they are preparing for their after graduate career. So IQ is there. They have to take all the courses to complete the program, but somehow while they are taking the program, so we're giving them like a EQ as well. We have a 5 core here, for example, in AIU. So plus with the 8-hour rules, and here as well we are applying the social business, because that is our uniqueness and our niche area. So like maybe Mr. Ghani and Mr. Daniel can have a look at the floors. So we have a social business booth. So that is their project. So they also have to sit for the special courses, which is social business. Then from the theory, concept, and everything is there, and plus with the applications by having the social business, then we assume that the student will be prepared for their employment in future. Okay, I'll pass back to Mr. Ghani.
Yeah, okay, so meaning that we don't have to not only or solely going for a job market. We can create our own job. We go out and start our social enterprise or even start our own businesses. But back to my next question. People are going to say, how to get job? How? I mean, it's so tough, you know. I mean, I know my first experience when I graduated also, I was so worried I'm going to get job. But what are the tips? What are the things that we should consider as a fresh grad to get employed? Daniel?
Tips and tricks. By the way, I just want to give applause to the AV team, and I was wondering if there's a spare mic as well for us to have a discussion by ourselves. But to answer the question, now this really applies to all our friends, our graduating students out there who are trying to understand how is it to elevate your own profile, to make yourself visible to potential employers. So how is it? You may be thinking, oh no, you're just a graduating student, you're just fresh from college or university, you do not have experience. I say nay to that, is because if you look outside of this hall, there are already testimonies of social enterprise going on. And even though if you're not involved in that, the voluntary spirit is going to be important, okay? In any of your curricular activities, that not just complements the points for your graduation, but it actually develops character. And today, we are in a social media age, right? We talk about Facebook, we talk about Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and God knows what else is out there, right? Now, all of us know all these platforms. So for example, I'm just going to talk about LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is where all the industry players are. They dwell there, and there are a lot of decision makers. So what can you do to elevate your profile? Talk about yourself, write about yourself. And you may be asking, what's there to write about? Well, each and every one of you have your own unique journeys to where you are today, okay? You're all from different backgrounds. Some of you are from different countries coming in here. You've got your own journey already. That itself is already content for a storytelling technique to raise your visibility, piquing the interest of potential viewership audience and maybe even the relevant industry players. Even maybe my team, you know, they're all here, recruitment consultants. They may just catch their attention, and potentially that's how you network. Now, what I'm trying to deliver here, the message to the question, how is it that you can make yourself employable, is to network. Right? You've got to know some people, right? You do not know people, that's absolutely okay. During our time, when we finished university or when we graduated, there wasn't any social media platforms at all. So we were back to the traditional ways of networking, getting to know people, having handshakes, and we get to know people by knowing people who introduce us to others. But now, it's just right there at your fingertips. Just you've got to open your mobile phones or even your laptops. You say, is that easy? The best part is, it's free. You do not have to pay for it, right? So it's just all at your fingertips. Start with that, and you'll see the magic happens. Your network will then expand, and you will potentially get more and more prospects approaching you instead of you hunting them. That's the magic of it. Consider that. And that's my answer.
Dr. Jana?
Okay. All right. So in academic perspective, when you ask about the how to get the job, okay, of course in academy, the things that we can do, which is preparation before they go for their internship placement. Okay, so we prepare the workshop for resume and as well for the mock interview. So that's, I think, for the academic, that's the part that we can prepare for the student. And after when they've done with their internship, and they will become the fresh grad, right? So here, like in Al-Bukhari, this is a second year for the final year student. On this coming July, they will go for their internship placement. So we already done with the resume workshop and as well as the mock interview session. And here, I go through the tips and tricks. For resume, it is like you have to break rules for resume. What is break the rules? It is not like you come up with resume without the information about you yourself, the important your qualification have to be there. But the trips here, we are not focusing only for resume, but maybe for resume. Okay, so for resume, or as we know that video resume, I think for certain position or for certain program like marketing, BBA marketing, they can go for a resume because they searching for the marketing field or area in industry, right? So maybe instead of come up with the resume, the traditional one, we have to do it in Microsoft Word and then print out and everything. So why not they come up with a plus with resume so they can market themselves. All right, so that's a tips and tricks that we can share. And as our VC told that last Wednesday we have Perkeso. Okay, Perkeso already done their part, which is they come up with a grooming session for our student, and as well as they give a tips and tricks as well for the resume. So they come up with a variety of resume. So I think that's to reflect the questions. Okay, how to get the job? In my part as an academician, so that's the thing that we can prepare for our student, and we hope that on that level, so when they're done with that resume workshop, IV, and then they go through the internship, then they should be ready for their real industry world. Okay, all right. Pass back to Mr. Ghani.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so to complement what she's just mentioned, right? So let's review where we are right now, right? So all of us, let's pretend I'm also a fresh grad, okay? So we've got very similar level qualifications with my fellow classmates, for example, and there are a lot of us, right, in just this university. And then you're going to go out there in the marketplace, you're going to be fighting for a spot in the market with other students as well, right? So talk about resume. Resume is a video resume, okay, for those of you who are not familiar with that. But let's just say if you do have challenges in public speaking, not everybody are natural speakers. Some of us may be introverts, some of us may be extroverts who are more comfortable in front of the camera. But for those of you who may not, then you may want to just consider resume, isn't it, right? So here is just some suggestions, at least from the HR practitioner's perspective. Everybody are nice. Everybody is hardworking. Everybody is a team player and agile. Nothing special about that, right? So what makes you stand out about that? Your current or past experience, involvement in curricular activities, talk about that. Don't just talk about that, oh, you're involved in this. Yeah, you being involved suggests your participation in that activity. But what we would like to know more that makes you stand out is your involvement in something. What was your achievement out of that something? Better still, what was the impact? Was there any change that was implemented based on your contribution? Okay? Now, you may have heard this story from the internet or from the social media. So let's just say if your household or in your dorms, you've got one of the light bulbs is blown, right? And you know how to fix it. You just got to get a spare part of the very same specification of the bulb, get a ladder, unhinge the faulty bulb, and change it. It's that simple, right? What if I can tell you that if you can actually use a storytelling technique to describe that a little bit further by providing insights and value? Successfully implemented a change for illumination without cost to the organization. It's a play of words, isn't it? It's a very simple example of just changing a simple light bulb. But at the end of the day, because you have personally involved yourself, performed the act, in actual fact, was there any cost to the organization? Potentially, maybe just for purchasing the spare part of the bulb. But the act of it does not. Okay, and that's just an example. So you may want to then categorize what's your involvement, followed by your achievement, and what's the potential impact. That would then make your written resume very interesting. It stands you out. Yeah? All right, I see some nodding of heads. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we talk about resume or resume, a new term for me. What are the, how you produce so-called killer resume or resume? I mean, besides the so-called achievement that you said just now, is there anything else that we should put onto our resume or in our resume? Is there anything else that we can think of so that our CV won't be placed into KIV tree by employer?
Maybe after this, maybe Mr. Daniel, you can add some more points based on the industry. All right, okay, so it's an academic, so the most important thing, your information is there, but somehow your career or your build your resumes. Now we have many applications, so you can use the application, and then how you design actually your resume also important. Somehow like previously we are listed, we list down everything, but now maybe you can come up with a new design or more than fancy, like based on your position that you want to apply as well. Right. So, but we also want to listen from the industry. Maybe there's some other thing that we have to include in the resume. Usually, we come out with our details, and then with a soft skill, some bit, and then the working experience. But for fresh grad, like Mr. Daniel said, that don't worry. Okay, although you can put in your internship placement as your experience, but for those who are doing the social business, yeah, Mr. Daniel, so you can include as well, right? So for your experience, maybe Mr. Daniel, any kind, the information that we have to add on For the current one, maybe? Okay.
Yeah, from the industry player.
Now I'm going to flip it the other way around, all right? So we've been talking about resumes. Now, what is the purpose of a resume? It's a gateway for you to earn an interview. No matter how fancy your resume is, if it doesn't land you an interview, it's bust. It's useless. Correct, right? It's like a passport to get to speak to the decision makers, the important stakeholders here. So she has covered practically all that's needed to be in your resume. There's only so much you can write in a resume. If your resume is too long, if it's 2 pages or 3 pages and more than likely it may lose the focus of the person reading it, and you can just find your resume chucked into the waste paper basket. Choose a very, very simple way. Do not need to use very advanced English words or vocabulary. The whole idea is to summarize. It's supposed to be a summary of your specialty, what qualifications you have, if you do, and what are the experiences based on your involvement that you may have so far. All right? The whole idea is to intrigue the person reading it, wanting to speak to you. So let me just bring you fast forward to the interview, because that's the end goal, isn't it? Now, there are 2 ways of looking at it here. We've been focusing on the resume and these societal norms to expect to talk about successes only. How about failures? Now, failures are very, very key aspects, as well as a very powerful tool to teach us learning points. Everyone has failures, myself included, right? Now, this is also where you want to highlight what have you gone through, what have you realized that you've done wrong, what could you have done differently, what you have learned from the experience, and bring yourself forward. How can you expect and see yourself to deliver better, and then further by what are your expected results from that? That gives the person listening to your explanation that you do have an action plan, right? In order for all of us to reach a level of success requires countless unspoken failures. You agree? And the stigma is that when we talk about failures or when we think about failures, it's like, oh, it's negative. Turn it around. Make it more interesting. The whole idea is get your resume done, win that interview, create conversation, network, connect with the persons across the table emotionally. And we are just, after all, humans, so we make mistakes out from there, and what can we learn from there, and that drives us towards success. There's no shortcuts to that. Success is always driven through the failures, and not just failing for no reason. Fail, learn from it. Bring it forward from there. Yeah?
Oh, another one? Okay.
Just to add some more, means Mr. Daniel touched about the interview sessions, right? Okay, of course, in HR we are trying to recruit, and then during the selection process is very crucial actually. So for your interview session, sometimes we have to get we have to know the right communication skill. We have verbal and non-verbal. Maybe the verbal you can practice, right, Mr. Daniel? You can have like 2 or 3 round practice, and then you can, because the verbal one is you can like sometimes you can lie on that verbal, but somehow you have to take note about the non-verbal itself. Okay, both are important. Okay, because verbal we are saying something, but non-verbal sometimes our gesture, our expressions, we cannot lie on our gesture, our expression. Okay, but although we are saying something nice, but our face expression. So for interview sessions, I think compliment means both are important, verbal and non-verbal. Instead of you are preparing for the interview informations, okay. So when touching about the interview, I think that's one of the things that we have to focus. Okay, all right, Mr. Gani.
Thank you. I remember when I went for my first interview, I was nervous like hell. I cannot even converse. You know. And then because those days, I mean, I'm old. Those days, we do not have like coaches like these days. We do not have fairs like this. No? We just gung ho and went to interview, and that's it. No? But then you guys are lucky. We have this AIU having this career and entrepreneurship fair, which is a blessing, I would say, a blessing. And then when we talk about attending interviews, that you are wrecking, nervous, like that thing, what can you do to prepare yourself better?
I did say networking earlier, right? So how do we even network? How do we even talk to people when we don't know people? Get to know people. And I mentioned earlier, one of the examples is just use a free platform that's readily available, LinkedIn, for example. You may even be on Facebook as well. All of us use Facebook, or some of us, most of us do, right? And that's already a free platform, a gateway for you to connect people, yeah? So the whole idea is that to create an in-depth, valuable conversation. All right, I mentioned LinkedIn, just an example. Let's focus on that. So there are a lot of us here, decision makers, dwelling on that platform. The whole idea is to create a compelling enough story about ourselves, and it's mostly about posts. Or it could even be pictures that you post there and you share, right? The whole idea is to attract visibility, as I mentioned. So when you do that, you will get engagement, in this case, comments. After all, so social media is about wanting to drive for comments. Now, don't be confused by attracting likes, support, and all that, Facebook thumbs up. That's good because it kind of just gives you an idea where you're heading to based on what you have posted. But the more valuable response and engagement that you would want to drive is the people who took the time and effort to leave a comment. Then don't leave it there hanging. Please spend some time to respond back as well. And potentially that's how you would then take the opportunity, depending on the vibe of the conversation going on through the comments, to connect, right? Take it a notch further by DMing. I'll tell you a true story. One of my team members who are with me or with us today, we did not know each other. We got to know each other through LinkedIn. What I've just mentioned to you is a real-life testimony. I got to know her through the platform. We got connected. We exchanged some context, got onto Zoom meeting, figured out what she's all about, what she's doing, what's her interest, what makes her tick, and then found out that, we shared some similar values, and coincidentally, my organization have got that opening that matches her aspiration. Voila, today, she's part of my team. Yeah? That's how you network. That's how you practice. So to answer his question, if you're nervous, hey, I get it. I was nervous too when I met my wife. How to speak to her, how to ask her hand for marriage. Now, I'm not asking you to practice dating, okay? That's not the point. My point here is that to create conversation, connect with other people on an emotional level, and that's how the chemistry gets going, and you get the conversation started. Yeah?
Okay, before we go on, I would like to open to the floor because we have reaching 12 o'clock now before we go on to our next batch of questions that I have prepared. So let's hear from the floor. Anybody from the floor? Going one? You're not going to go on with my questions? Yeah, we're nice people, don't worry. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Our brother here. There's a mic in the middle. Mr. Emmanuel. Go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you for your presentation. My name is Emmanuel. I'm in SBSS, BBA Human Resource Management. I'm from Congo, a small French country in Africa, with an unemployment rate of 26%. And it's very difficult to get a job in my country. Especially, HRM managers claim that it's very difficult to get people but they want people with master's degree, 5 years of experience, to give them the small salary. Even if you can get an internship, they will take you as a slave. My question is, why HR managers, they don't want to change their criteria, and how and why they are fear to hire French graduate students? That's my two questions.
Thank you. Huh? Yeah, its own country, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Emmanuel, can I clarify? So your question is based on the context of what's happening, the scenario in your country, is it?
Yes, all right. Of course.
Okay. Just to clarify on that. Now, in Malaysia, we do have employers or even some of our clients on the Perso Kelly umbrella providing internships. I can't comment much about Congo because as far as Perso Kelly is concerned, we are strong, and our strong ground is among the 14 countries based in Asia Pacific. However, I can address the question pertaining to the fear, or rather the demand, the requirement to seek those only with experience and those who possess a minimum of having a master's degree. That's something that's probably happening across the whole entire world as well too. Listen, it's always a dream, like a plan A for every employer to hire potentially the best candidate out there, right? So that's a wish list. However, let's bring ourselves back to where we are today, and obviously your question. Without you having the relevant industrial experience, how are you going to get there to be having 5 years worth of relevant experience, right? That's a question. And secondly, not everybody are having a master's degree. Most of us here are having a bachelor's degree. I do not have a degree. Let that sink in. 20 years ago, I could not afford to pay for a degree course. Made in Malaysia, studied in Malaysia, Penang, college, diploma, that's all, the end. So I don't even have a degree to begin with. I'm sitting right here sharing the stage with esteemed guests as well as on the floor. So although I cannot meet the demand of the employer who specifically is looking for those only with master's degree, let me tell you, credentials is on paper, but the value is determined by your involvement and how much is it that you're displaying, how badly you want it to be, okay, how much hunger you have. When you have the will, and these are just little challenges that comes your way as a barrier. It's up to your willpower to get about that. And if you do not know how to, again, going back to basics is getting to know people, getting to know more industrial players. How? Social media, again. We're talking in today's context where social media is so widely used, right, and it's free. Get onto the platform, but use it differently. No longer is it meant for just sharing very, very nice photos on Instagram for the sake of glamour or popularity. No. That's a thing of the past. What you want to do is to develop your career and then build a profile. That's about it. I tell you what, the fact that you've got the guts to actually walk over to the mic to ask this question, let's get connected right after this. How about that?
Thank you, Daniel. Dr. Jenna?
Okay, so maybe I can add on a bit. Okay, so the most important means that the thing that we highlight here is networking, right, Mr. Daniel? So, yeah, of course, when the HR, they will want to come up with the recruitment, because when we talk about recruitment, this is how the company want to attract the other person from outside of the company to work in their organization. Okay, so that's the recruitment. So the recruitment is based on the position itself as well, but you can try. Although they say that a 5 year everything, but you can try, and maybe they will select. And then during the interview session, Mr. Daniel, maybe you can impress them. But the most important keywords that I got it from Mr. Daniel also, which is the networking. So that's why I think for a student here, especially for our pioneer student, Mr. Daniel. So today and tomorrow is actually your golden opportunity, because because our organizer bring the company into our university, so that this is your chance to try to have the networking with the company that listed here. Okay, so Mr. Emmanuel, don't worry. From now, you can focus means like a networking, and then you can go for the internet platforms, media platforms. All right. So I pass back to Mr. Gani.
Then I got another pointer.
Earlier, during the opening ceremony speech by Dr. Abdul Aziz, he did mention that one of the aims of this university is to create job creators, not just job seekers. So while I understand the challenges that you may be facing in your home country, where you are right now, you're in Malaysia, you're already having this opportunity to be with us here today in AIU, right? You're already building yourself towards there. So perhaps you may hold the key to make an impactful, positive change back in your home country. That's among the pillars which I believe what AIU is expecting you to be, right? Well done for asking us that question. I hope that answers your questions, by the way. Good question.
Thank you. Emmanuel, are you okay?
Yes, I want to add something.
Okay, go ahead.
My last question is related to my area of study. I want to know, is it easy to evaluate the skills or the knowledge of someone in the sheet of paper? Is it easy to evaluate the skills in the resume? Is it easy for managers?
It is very easy when I start talking to that person. So like I said, the resume, by the way, you've got a very good question there. It is supposed to be attracting attention of the reader. Now, I suppose that you're referring to the resume in this case, yes? Right? I mentioned before, the resume is just a gateway to create connection, to create interest in the person reading it, wanting to speak to you more about it. All right? There'll be more to be spoken of, to be discussed about, things that are not in the resume. So if you will be talking to me during an interview session, or maybe even after this when we start connecting, and let's pretend you've given me your resume, I look at it, I'll probably be asking you, so Emmanuel, how's it going? Tell me something that I don't already know that's on paper, and then you get it going, right? So if you're writing your resume and you're listing down your experiences, what you've done, and again, let's say if you follow my model to also include the impact and the result of your involvement, well, that's good. I'll probably probe more about it because that has intrigued me enough to want to speak to you. So to really find out whether you're really good at what you claim to be on paper, we will have a sense how true is it, how accurate it is. There's only so much you can write on paper, and as what she mentioned earlier, it's all about the vibe. Whether are you confident enough? Is it something that you may have embellished in writing or not? Everything will speak. Your unwritten composition of your physical presence, your presentation, your facial and your body language tells a lot more that has not been written on paper. So to your question, yeah, it will give me about 50% of a clue whether the potential reader of your resume will want to talk to you more about it or not, to judge whether if you're good enough for that. Maybe you can just...
No? Okay. Okay, thank you. So thank you very much. Are we having another one? Oh, Waka, okay, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good morning, sir. My name is Abu Bakr Ali Muhammad. I am from Nigeria. And my question is that, sir, Mr. Daniel, you made mention about networking and in-depth conversation. For me, I agree with that 100%. Even you have the skill, the networking is very crucial because for me, from where I came from, the labor market I know is very competitive. So the networking will help you a lot to get a job. So my question is, what are the tricks or some techniques that will help you to get a good networking with the right people?
Oh, tips. in good networking.
Listen, so you're saying that how is it that you're able to elevate yourself further to be able to be handpicked by the role that you applied for, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use this as to reflect my own personal experience, okay? I'm a HR practitioner today in Persol Kelly, Malaysia. We're a HR company, by the way. Let me tell you this, I wasn't from HR.
Okay.
How is it that I managed to get myself into this HR company then, right? So there are a lot more HR practitioners who have been in the industry. Obviously, they've got an advantage for the relevant industry experience over me. So how is it that I could find myself to elevate myself to be ahead of them? Now, I'm not saying that I'm good. I'm not praising myself here, okay? Let's not get that mistaken. The point here is that, again, as what I've answered Emmanuel earlier, is how else can you elevate and show relevant lessons that we have picked up along our career, transferable knowledge from other industries that could potentially add value in what you're about to get in. So I personally will always have what I call my first 100-day plan. Okay, I will present what is my first 100-day plan that I expect to implement that could then provide a potential impact, broken into 3 stages. First stage, first 30 days, and then followed by the second 31st to 60 days, and finally all the way up to 100 days. Why is it that it's first 100 days is just taken after the model of the standard traditional 3 months of probation? My answer to my country manager, who I'm reporting to today, is that the reason why I'm very, very interested to get into HR is dealing with people. And I'm not just about dealing and talking to people. My dream and my aspiration is my passion of seeing my success together with the people who I interact with. So today, I may be controlling and heading the Penang branch of Persol Kelly, overlooking the northern region. And my answer is this. My passion to be in HR is to help others achieve their dreams. Because after all, it's about people's career, people's living, people's livelihood. If I can't get them to achieve their dreams, that's okay. I know I can get them closer to it. I got an offer the next day.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe I can add some more from Mr. Daniel in the academic perspective, okay? All right, so how you want to do networking and everything. So first thing first, you have to recall back whatever we have learned before about your personality. You have to know your personality first. Either you are introvert or extrovert, maybe. If you are in an introvert person, so maybe you can go for a platform, media, digital, so you can have that platform. But if you are extrovert, someone which is easier to mingle around, so maybe we have a vacation, we have an event, so you can go and approach the person personally. So you have to know first your personality, and then which area or which line that you want to approach the person itself. Okay? All right, Abu Bakar?
Okay,
all right.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abu Bakar. Okay, Mr. Daniel want to add some...
The pointer.
This doesn't just address to you, Abu Bakar, but to everybody else as well. Obviously, we work to get money. We need the salary. Let's agree on that, okay? We need money for livelihood and for survival. What will stand you out in applying for any specific role is not just to elevate and showcase, to convince the person enough that you're good for the role, but you may want to also point out what could be the potential impact that you have by getting this role, and what's your value to the people around you, the circle within your community. Every role out there, regardless of what industry it may be, it could be in IT, it could be in engineering, it could be in HR, it could be in the sales or marketing, there will always be an aspect of social impact. Dig deep into that element In marketing, what is the social impact? You may be asking me, Dan. So what are you talking about, Dan? I mean, what social impact are we talking about? This is about a corporate business trying to make money, make a corporate revenue out of our clients, right? Hey, it's about building a brand for your respective clients for their specific agenda, and how is their brand is going to potentially return back to the society and make an impact. IT, yeah, it's so dry. It's just about IT, making sure your laptops or computers are working, right? Well, if we do not have an IT department, if anything breaks down, if the infrastructure breaks down, you can't log in and all that, what happens? That's a social impact where a lot of us tend to take things for granted and do not realize it. And in HR, obviously, I've just pointed out, there are many, many aspects of HR. It could be in payroll, it could be in learning and development, it could be even in talent sourcing, recruitment, in other words. There will always be such element there. So if you can point it out, what are your involvement and what the impact you could leave, you're the guy I want to work with. And that's also one of the reasons why I mentioned to you earlier, one of my team members sitting with us here today, who I've met through LinkedIn. I never knew her, just got to know her virtually, and she's with us right now. Social impact in what you do that could influence your circle of, I don't know, so your circle of community. All right.
Thank you, Daniel. Then let's move one step ahead. We talk about networking. We talk about preparing a resume. We're talking about getting in touch with a person, that kind of stuff. But when you look at most of the job opportunities said minimum 3 years experience, minimum 1 year experience in later industry. But we are fresh grad. How can we address that? I mean, we just came up from the school. We just graduated. We do not have any experience. So how can we address that?
All right, so maybe I can answer first, then pass to Mr. Daniel. So regarding the working experience, talk about working experience. So they are required about 3 years, 5 years, right, Mr. Ghani? So as a fresh grad here, like I said to you, like I mentioned before, which is we all depends on the internship placement first. Secondly, like in AIU itself, we have a social business, project. So I think that can means that it can be included as an experience because they are doing from the scratch. Okay, social business means we are giving back to the community, like our VC said about the 8-hour rules, 8 hours for sleep, for rest, 8 hours for the educations, and another 8 hours for the community. So the community part, that's why we apply by social business. And then from that, they learn how to communicate, they learn how to deal, and they learn how to help the community. Means that from their poverty, and then they can, means that they want to, it's not to solve, but to at least to, try to cater a certain problem. Okay, but if we talk about to solve, it is not to solve their problem, but they help. Okay, so the student have the soft skill on that. And another thing which is emotional intelligence, like I highlighted before, which is here, although they're having the IQ, everything is there, but they have to know that soft skill and then how to deal and then to do a relationship. It's not only for between students and lecturer, but student and community itself. So I think here, as a student from AIU, you have you got the advantage actually. So because they got the advantage to run the social business project, so they learn more on that. So I think that can be highlighted when they are come up as a fresh graduate as well. Okay, instead of their internship experience. Okay, maybe Mr. Daniel can add on the industry perspective. Okay.
So I'm a devil's advocate. I'm a party pooper. So let's just say no internship experience at all. All right, I didn't have any internship experience. Heck, I didn't even qualify for it because I didn't even have a degree. Okay. So back to his question, how is it that we can overcome the challenge of getting ourselves at least an interview? Let's not talk about getting the job placement yet. Just at least an interview to begin with. I don't have an experience, but he's asking for at least 2 to 3 years of relevant experience. Think back of what I mentioned moments ago, where I said that whatever involvement that you've been in, whether in extracurricular or even the social enterprise activities that's going on outside of this ballroom, find transferable knowledge that could be applied onto the role. Sure, you do not have the 3 years of experience, but what you've picked up from your previous involvement, all the practices, can you find something of a middle ground that you are able to apply? And remember this, every time, or at least this is my personal view or my practice, going to the glass, half full or half empty. Take that analogy. Every time when we apply for a role, it's very unlikely that we have 100% of all the requirements and skill sets required to fulfill that. But if you're able to establish that you have about 50 to 60% of the relevant experience or the skill sets, that's good enough. And then how is it that you can convince the potential employer that you're good enough to still take the calculated risk with you, even though you're still lacking about 40% of that gap that you may not have? That's where the transferable knowledge comes in. An interview is always two-way street. Do not think that it's just a one-way street for the interviewer to be asking you questions, qualifying you for the role. Ask the questions back as well. What are the challenges that you may be facing should you be selected? What are the potential lessons that you could pick up? Will there be training to help me develop myself to fulfilling this role? What are the expected turnaround time that I have to buffer my learning journey in order to fulfill what's required? So these are all the relevant questions that could present your character. We may not have the relevant years of experience, but if you are able to establish that you have that character that showcases your interest and your passion in learning, convince the person talking to you good enough to take you in and to provide you training. So going back to one of my team members who I mentioned I met through LinkedIn, and she's now with us, she did not have any relevant experience at all. None whatsoever. She was practically a fresh graduate out of university as well. But it's because of her passion. And how did she establish herself in that sense? Is because her explanation and what she believed could impact the people around, or at least the people that she interacts with by having this role with us. She's here today. I hope that she will be able to fulfill that and maybe talk to some of you as well. So that's my answer to Encik Gani.
Thank you. Thank you, Reno. I think that's very crystal clear, I would say. Then I would like to take on from what you said just now. Interest, passion into certain type of job, no? Kind of work that you want to do. But then you see there's opportunity that slightly different from what you aim for or you're looking for. Can you, as a person, grow to love the job, or can you learn to love your job? What you are doing? Who answers first?
All right, sure. Oh, this is one of the popular or even hotly debated questions. So the gist of this question, how it came up, is that there are some cases or examples where some of us may have taken up a wrong job, a mismatched job, mismatched position, okay? How is it that one may have ended up there? I'm not too sure. But I personally, when I started my career, in fact, most of us started that way by not having the dream job, right? We got picked up somewhere and learn along the way. Now, that's the hard way. Ideally, of course, we would like to get as accurate as possible to the job that matches our skill sets, our character, as well as our belief in the mission statement of the organization we're joining. There is no perfect organization. If there is, I would like to know. There is no perfect organization out there. Because if there is a perfect organization, that organization has stopped developing, has stopped growing. There must be a room for growth. And what I mean by that, there must be a room of lack. And that's how we develop problems or dislike into something that we need to address a solution with. So coming back to this question, how is it that we can then develop a liking or an interest in something that we do not like? There are some aspects of my current job that I do not like. It's not perfect. I learned to like it. I'm in a HR industry. I'm a HR practitioner. And when we deal with people, we deal with a myriad of personalities, right? And among my job is perhaps sometimes I've got to counsel. That's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy looking someone in the eye and give productive criticism to that person. It's not easy. But how is it that I can develop a liking for that? Depending on how the outcome of that, if that productive criticism given is able to develop that person better, I take pride in seeing that person getting better. I do take pride with that. And I also employ the very same mentality for myself because I know that I'm not perfect. I've done mistakes as well. I still do, actually. And the same is given to me, right? My fellow peers. Even I take a 360-degree feedback from my fellow team members from the bottom up, right? So going back to his question, how is it to like something that you don't like? I'm married. There are not all things that I like about my wife. I still love her. Yeah, just to give an example.
Okay, so that's from industry perspective. Okay, of course, sometimes for students, okay, when they are searching for their career, sometimes they change. Okay, like in business, maybe the student BBA marketing, for example, then end up his placement in a BBA HR area. Okay, it happened, and from the academic perspective, from the university, actually we have like a tracking. So if we can recall back. As an alumni, they will call their alumni about 3 to 5 years after they graduate from university because that has a purpose. Okay, in university we have like we have the plan. This is like the level which is we are looking on a PO problem educational level. Then we have PLO program learning outcome and course learning outcome. Usually course learning outcome means that the student will be placed in the program itself, specific program, then they have to go through all the courses, which is the subject in that program. So we done on that. And PLO, program learning outcome, also we done when the student already finished the cycle of the program, like 3 years or 3.5 years. So done on that. And how the university get know whether the student means that after they graduated, they are in the same line or same field, or maybe they are changed to the other field, which is we call them after 2 or 3 years to get back their feedback. What are their position now? Means that they are working in which area. So that's what we call as a program educational PEO, program educational outcome. So from that we can trace either the program is successful or not. So that's this from the university part and for the academic part. But for the student, and of course, like Mr. Daniel also highlight about the job seeker and job creator. So we are not means that we are not just focusing for means that we are not highlighted to the student for job seekers, but job creators. Sometimes when they are involved with social business, so they know how to make means that to start out and everything, so they can go for their business, their own business. Okay, and we have, I think, for our graduate. Actually, it's not my field, but we can learn, right, Mr. Daniel? From time to time, we can learn. Okay, so that's from academic perspective. Thank you.
Thank you both. Well, I was trained in business economics, and now I'm doing non-profit job. So don't worry, guys. Even though the job opportunity doesn't really relate to what you're studying, go for it. Okay, learn to love it. That Daniel said just now. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we are clocking to 12:30. We're going to open to the floor again. Is there any question from the floor before we go to our next block? Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, I think we to the closer to the mic first. Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Hello, it's Betül from Turkey. Well, first of all, thank you for the insightful speech. Previously, my friend Emmanuel asked a great question, actually, but I would like to switch the context to a Malaysian context. Well, you mentioned about creating an impact, and for internationals in general, it is hard to build trust and good relationship with locals. I mean, it can be Malay, Chinese, or Indian. It is hard for them to trust us, like there's lack of trust. So I would like to ask for specific details or like some clarity. Do you have any word of advice for internationals to build this good relationship with locals? I mean, to simplify, how Malaysians would like to be approached by a foreigner in the business industry in Malaysia?
Actually, we have a number of expatriates in Malaysia. So, but anyway, I'd like the industry player to answer that.
I can totally relate to you. I'm Malaysian, but I'm half Thai by heritage to my mum. I face similar scenario as yourself whenever I'm back in Thailand, because I'm seen as an outsider who doesn't sound anywhere close to being a local there. So how is it that I can gain trust? To answer your question, I agree with the challenges of even gaining access into people's trust. You've got to interact with them first, network with them and all that, right? Now, breaking the ice by networking is one thing, but that doesn't guarantee you the trust. My personal advice, or at least through my experience, is volunteer. When you volunteer, the impact here is it does not involve any cost to that person. You're providing your voluntary services in whatever fields that may be that provides an advantage to that person, right? You're trying to get into a trust circle in a land foreign to you. You're not even from here. So how is it that you can establish and grow roots when you were not born here? You did not even grow up here. You don't really know the culture or whatnot, right? Volunteer. So what kind of things that you could do to volunteer yourself? We've got a Red Crescent that is equivalent to the Red Cross, right? And the Red Crescent do not see whether or not you're a local or you're a foreigner, for example, right? So the Red Crescent, for example, are aid providers that provide relief to a myriad of scenarios. It could be floods, it could be anything to do with a health or an injury or whatnot. So if the least you could do, all right, on a very basic level is just pick up some first aid skills. When you have first aid skills, again, this is just an example. In this context, if someone is injured and you have the skill to treat that person, it doesn't matter what nationality you are. You're able to already gain trust of that person for you to approach, to have physical contact, to apply a remedy to treat that injury. How is it that you get there? Going back to the rule of thumb, volunteer. If you don't have the money, you don't have the skill set, the least you could do is just time.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Dana. We can take one last question. So, lady in the pink, yeah. Orange, yeah. But we're running out.
Hi, very morning. This afternoon. I'm Iza. I'm from SCI school. I'm a lecturer, and I have two questions. Before that, let me introduce myself. I just joined AIU and I came from industry I was in industry for about 16 years. And apart from that, I also involved with recruiting the staff. I have two questions here. One is about the issue that normally candidates will face. So basically, I'm representing myself from the student part. Okay, the first question is, this is the famous question, so I hope you can share the tips for the students. First is, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And the secondly is, in 5 years, where are you going to be? So this is the famous question from the interviewers, I would say. So thank you very much. Either one.
Hello.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, although this is for industry, asking for industry, but just a bit sharing about education, strength and weaknesses. Okay, usually in HR, we come up with the mock interview and everything. So for the strength, we can means that we can just see the strength of yourself and everything. But for weaknesses, sometimes, yeah, they will ask on that question. We know that although we have the weaknesses, but somehow you have towards the end you have to like twist, means that the twist something like weaknesses to the strength. To the end. For example, maybe you will say that you are a person which is not means that always not in time. For example, but that is weaknesses, right? So maybe you can say that you will improving, or you will look more on that part. Okay, so of course you have to answer because they ask about that one. But towards the weaknesses, sometimes we have to change a bit, twice a bit, to make it like a strength as well. Okay, so that's maybe from the academic experience. Maybe we can listen from Mr. Daniel from industry.
From industry player. I take it that I am your interviewee and you're my interviewer, asking me, so Dan, what's your strength and what are your weaknesses? Okay, let's role play to answer your question. And my way of addressing that question, the two questions in 2-in-1, will be in this way. I will start off by highlighting to you my weaknesses first. I'm very lazy. I kid you not, I'm a very lazy person. So lazy that I will find a way to make the work for me without me having to put too much effort. How is that a strength then? Because of my nature, I know that I've got to make things work that require some effort. My point here is that born out of my natural laziness, I've got to find a way to make things work, not just for me, but also for my organization. There comes my personal skill set of process engineering, making things seamless, cutting all the layers of bureaucracy or red tape to make things lean. And then that's how you hear the specialty in today's market known as lean management. That's a strength and that's a weakness at the same time. But I'm just showcasing in this example of how my weakness has become my strength that I'm applying till today.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if I may add, if I were asked this question, my answer would be something like this, and I hope the students can focus on this, because I was an engineer before for about 16 years, and I joined AIU because I think that's my responsibility to share the experience with the students, for the youngsters. My answer would be something like, as you mentioned, we twist from our weakness to the strength. I am very, very particular with the time, okay? So what I would say, I can't tolerate with a latecomer to the class. So I would say if I come late, for the students, if you come late, what are you going to say to the students, okay? You have two options. Either you can ask the students, get out, I don't want to see you because you are so late. But instead of saying that harsh words, you can say that, okay, we have another room for to tolerate with the students, you can say, okay, why you are coming late? Give them some time to explain. If they cannot explain, then okay, you can take it in positive way. Maybe there was an accident before that. So in a short way, you have to explain that why you are late, but don't tell me that you are coming late every day, so you cannot accept these kind of excuses. But instead of saying that you are late because you woke up late, you can say this, like, you have to tell the truth, or you can convert this thing into positive manner so that the people who are asking you actually can accept your reason. Okay, so telling the truthful in a good way, in such a way that the people who ask you the question can accept that. Okay, so that's the only thing that I want to share. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You answer your own question. Actually, we had quite a number of questions, but we running out of time, and also our technology also squeezing us to stop now. Actually, I'm supposed to go to a non-profit sector now, where actually, just for your info, the MD of one of the non-profit in the US getting compensation of almost $4 million per year. So that's where I was supposed to take the audience into that field now, but sorry to say that we had to cut short. But we be loitering around after the session, so you can come ask our question directly to me. Dr. Saleh also from the industry, non-profit, and Shahid, our colleague from NAMA, also can give some lights if you want to know more about career in non-profit also. Okay, but sorry that we cannot go into that particular block now. We had to stop. Before that, I would like to thank our two panelists, Daniel Goh from Persol Kelly and Dr. Jannah from AIU itself. Thank you very much for sharing the session. Thank you. And then we have a small gift for our panelists.
Testing.
So with that, I would like to say thank you to both of you, and to the audience, and those that post questions to us. Thank you very much. We hope we can continue the conversation, not only here. We're gonna stop here. They're not gonna be around. That Jannah is gonna be around. So please approach us if for any question. Dan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to our speakers for the wonderful and beneficial session. Let us give them a round of applause again. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity again to welcome on stage the CEO of NAMA Foundation, Dr. Saleh Bazid, to award the students who were actively participating in the dialogue. Emmanuel Abubakar Batul, can you please come on stage? Aziza. And sorry, Madam Aziza also, please head to the stage.
lucky draw. Only Prof. Dr. Yus, not Madam Officer. Only her alone.
Tes.
Thank you so much for your participation. Now, I would like to call on stage our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Professor Dr. Yusnida, on stage to do the lucky draw. Please welcome on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, our lucky number draw first is CF2056. CF2056, please come on stage. Calling one, CF2056. Please come on stage. Calling two, CF2056. Calling last, CF2056. Please check on the number card you got from registration. Okay. Please come on stage.
Okay. Lucky draw number 2.
Lucky draw number 2, CF2059. Calling one, CF2059. Calling two, CF2059. Lucky draw number 3, CF2072. CF2072. Please come on stage. Calling one, CF2072. Calling two, CF2072. Okay. The next draw is CF2182. CF2182. Please check your numbers. CF2182. Please go on stage.
Is it this one?
Our last draw, CF2007. Calling one, CF2009. Oh, 07, sorry. CF2007. CF2021. CF2114. CF2114. Okay, the last but not the least, CF2099. CF2099. Thank you so much, Prof, and thank you to all our participants. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Al-Buhari International University, I would like to thank our esteemed guests and everyone in this room for being here. Your presence has indeed made the ceremony more meaningful. Now, we have come to the end of today's event. For our dear fellow students, you can explore the fair booth and our walk-in interview session in Yahya Sang Al-Buhari building. The crew will assist you if you are not sure about the location. With that all, we will end with Wabillahi Tawfiq wal Hidayah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you tomorrow.